When we look at the opening chapters of Genesis, we most often look for the creation account, the origin of the world, of men and women, the origin of sin through the fall. And we should. That is how God has revealed our history, is recording the truth of these events. But what about what these chapters reveal about God himself? For us to know God, we have to look at how he has described himself. And one of the principles of Bible study is looking at how something is first introduced in Scripture. And so when we look at these first few chapters of Genesis, we find so much about our God and how he wants us to understand who he is. And it forms the foundation of his relationship towards us that's played out throughout the rest of Scripture. And so over these next several videos, we're going to be going through these opening chapters of Genesis, looking at the attributes of God, looking at how he describes himself. And so we start right, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Now, we're going to be looking at these few verses multiple times here, but the first thing we should be drawing attention to is the fact that it simply starts off, in the beginning, God. He is self-existent. That's the first thing that we should understand about our God, is that he's not dependent on anyone else for his creation or for his sustenance. He simply is. As we'll in Exodus, he describes himself to Moses as, "I am who I am." He simply is. He has no beginning. He has all he needs in himself. So this gives us assurance that he's going to be the same, that he's not going to change. It means that he's going to keep his promises, and there's other attributes that point to that as well. But the point that he exists in himself. He's not beholden to someone else or anything else. He's not obligated to do the will of anyone else. Because he is who he is in himself, he is able to carry out his own perfect will. And this is the first thing that we should recognize about our God, is that he lacks nothing in himself. He is self-existent. And there's a song, Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise. And though it's drawn from another passage of Scripture, it does mention this aspect of God, self-existence. It says in the second verse that he's not wanting, that he lacks nothing, that he has everything he needs in himself. And so, while some of these songs that we'll do in this series may not exactly correlate, I will try to make them as close as possible. But here's Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise. Immortal, invisible, God only wise, in light inaccessible, hid from our eyes, most blessed, most glorious, the Ancient of Days, almighty, victorious, thy great name we praise. Unresting, unhasting, and silent as light, nor wanting, nor wasting, thou rulest in might. Thy justice like mountains, high soaring above, thy clouds which are fountains of goodness and love. Great Father of glory, pure Father of light, thine angels adoring, all veiling their sight. All praise we would render, Lord, help us to see. 'Tis only the splendor of light hideth. So the first thing that we see about our God in Genesis is that he is self-existent. May God bless. Scripture quotations are used from the ESV, the English Standard Bible.